and welcome to the Valley. Today I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday. I am back at Winchester Little Theater, sitting in the lobby with a pretty wide swath of the cast for Decision Height. That show opens on March 13th. That's what we're going to talk about today. Tim Bambera sitting to my left. He's the publicity dude for the theater, and you and I have been coordinating these for quite a while now. This is what, our third?
This is our third venture.
Hey, see, you must be doing something right because I keep letting you come back.
I love when you come back. It's great.
So before we talk to the director and the cast of Decision Height, tell me a little bit about this production and when is it going to open? How do I get tickets? Give me all of that right out of the gate.
Sure. Decision Height opens on March 13th. It runs through March 28th here at Winchester Little Theater. You can buy tickets online at our website, www.winchesterlittletheater.org. You can also find information on our social media, Facebooks and Instagrams. And as usual, we always seem to find ourselves in this spot. There's about 7% ticket sales left. So we're almost 93% sold out. Opening night just sold out. So get your tickets now. As I always say this.
While we're talking about tickets, make sure you're buying them from the Winchester Little Theater website. You've had some problems.
So we run into an issue this year where we have some other companies that are buying the tickets legally and then they're reselling them, which you're legally allowed to do in Virginia. However, that is running into problems for our patrons because they're paying way too much for their tickets. So make sure that when you go to buy your ticket online that you are going to our direct website, that you get a receipt confirmation email from us, that you get the QR code, everything that you need that would legitimize your ticket. So if you were to buy a ticket from another vendor, it's still going to work. You're just going to pay whatever they want to charge.
And some people would be willing to do that because their thought likely is that extra money is going back to the theater, and that is not at all the case.
No.
It's going into someone's pocket, and that is not a good thing.
If there's a show that you want to see that is sold out, what we recommend, like opening night looks like it just sold out today. So if you do want to come to opening night, congratulations everybody. If you do want to come to that show, what we recommend is to call up to the box offices and get on the waiting list, because we do usually have about half a dozen to a dozen no-shows per show, and you can get into a show pretty easily just by getting on the waiting list. I'm sorry to create any kind of widespread panic. Don't buy tickets from anybody else other than Winchester Little Theater. You can avoid getting into a predicament where you're paying more than tickets. Our tickets are, you can tell by the price you're paying, but our tickets are $25 for adults, and then seniors and students get a discount. Seniors are $23 and students are $18.
Which is a far cry from what I've heard some people are paying for some of these tickets, like in the hundreds of dollars, which is crazy. I mean, it's well worth it. I would pay a couple of $100 to watch a production here. But I also would want that money to then come back to you so you can spend it on the next production.
But we would never, we keep our ticket prices.
You want it to be accessible.
Absolutely. So we want as many people to come see the show as possible, so we keep them reasonable on purpose.
Joining us for the conversation today is Theresa Apple. She is the director of the Decision Height production. We've got several of the cast members here. Joining Theresa is Ella Drury, who is playing Alice Hawkins, and Lyla Samet, who is playing Carol Henderson. And then we're going to talk with Ash and Shelby in the next segment as well. But Theresa, I want to start with you as the director. Tell me a little bit about what I can expect in this production.
It's fitting that we're doing this show during Women's History Month, because this play is about a group of women who historically were quite overlooked. Many people don't even know that they existed. But in World War II, you know about Rosie the Riveter, and you know about the women that went to the factories and that were nurses and things like that. You don't always hear about these women that left everything to go fly the planes to free up the men to go fight in the theaters of war. It's a fascinating story based on an amalgamation of the lives of these real women known as the WASPs, who left their homes and their families and went to train and learn to fly these planes. 25,000 of them applied. About 1,100 were accepted, more or less. Just a few over 1,000 actually graduated. 38 of them were killed, and I think about another 75 lost their lives in various other ways in this program. It's a fascinating story, and people don't actually know about them.
Did you ask to direct it? How did you become the director? Did you see this was on the lineup and you're like, oh no, I have to do this?
No, here at WLT, the potential directors bring in the scripts that they're interested in directing for the most part. I found this one. It was written by someone at Hollins University, won the Kennedy Center Award for Collegiate Writing when it first came out, and I just thought it was a fascinating story with an all-female cast and needed to be done here.
How excited have you been now that rehearsals have started and the cast is starting to come together? What's it been like?
This is the most amazing cast. They have gelled as a group. They have been so easy to direct. I just told them I want it to look organic. I want it to look like you know who you are and you're doing what that real person would do. And every night they amaze me because they look like real people interacting with each other in a natural way and telling the story of these women. And this play has all the feels. You're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna have your heartstrings pulled, and you're gonna wanna go do more research on the WASPs.
So I'm going to come to you, Ella. You are playing Alice Hawkins. Tell me a little bit about your character. Was that who you auditioned for, or did you do an open audition and they said you would be perfect for this role?
The audition was much more open. We all read for a few different characters to give the directors and casting committee and all of them an idea of who would fit where. And Alice is actually not who I had in mind coming into auditions, but it's been really fun getting to play her. She's been very much a role that challenged me a lot because we're very different in a lot of ways. We have some little similarities here and there, but we're definitely very different. And so it's been fun to play a role that's a little more challenging for me and to get to really work at that and get at the meat of it. You find out, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, you find out about halfway through the play she's a mother. She's a very maternal character. She's one of the older members of our kind of core group of characters, and so she is very maternal with some of the younger girls, especially the character Lyla plays, Carol, which has been fun because Lyla and I have been friends for a few years now, so it's been fun to get to duo up a lot in the show.
So, Lyla, you are playing Carol Henderson, and it's interesting what Ella just said. So, did you two decide together, oh, we're going to go and audition for this, or did you show up here for the audition and go, I didn't know you were coming?
It's a funny story, honestly. We got together the weekend of auditions, and I thought that we needed a monologue to audition, because that's normally how auditions go here, I thought. So, I was getting my monologue ready. I was like, Ella, I really need your help. I'm really nervous. Can you please help me with my monologue? And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. So, the day before audition, she helped me with my monologue, and she's like, I can come with you if you really want me to, if you're nervous about auditions, because it was my first main stage audition here. So she came with me, and then she ended up auditioning anyways.
Yeah, I just ended up being like, well, I'm here, I might as well just go for it.
Yeah, but we've been friends for a few years now, and it's amazing getting to work with her again.
Yeah, we actually met at the theater when we
Oh.
were doing the kids' production of Alice in Wonderland a couple summers ago.
So, tell me about your character, Carol Henderson.
Carol, she is, I feel like, one of the most energetic or the youngest of the group. She definitely looks up to the older women, especially Alice, as I grow very close to her in the show. She grew up in Oklahoma on a little farm with her family. Lots of siblings, lots of brothers and sisters who write to her while she's here, but when she was younger, her mother did unfortunately leave, so that's another part where she does have these amazing women to look up to and to try her hardest to graduate this amazing opportunity. And I love her character. We're very similar and energetic and want to get in there, do things, but sometimes she's a little nervous and she doesn't know quite what to do, so she looks at her peers for help.
Ella, what kind of research goes in once you get the role? Are you looking it up on Google? Are you trying to read more about the women themselves? What kind of experience do you have to cull in order to be able to play this part?
Theresa was actually very helpful with giving us a lot of resources, and we actually were able to get together and watch some documentaries and some video content about the WASPs at the beginning of the rehearsal process and the beginning of preparing for the show. And so that was really cool to get to see some of the history and get to hear from some video interviews with some of the actual WASPs who are still surviving today, or at least were at the time of those videos being made. And getting to hear some of the songs. There's a lot of moments of some of the Army songs that they sing in the show that we get to bring to life, which has been really fun. So getting to hear some of that, some of their singing on the training fields and everything was really cool. So a lot of our resources, at least that I've gotten to look at, actually came from Theresa, which was really helpful.
What goes into putting together a production like this? It's one thing for you to have read the script and think, okay, this would be great on the stage here at Winchester Little Theater, but then you've got all of these other components that you have to incorporate.
Well, definitely. When I first brought it up, we knew we were going to do it. One of our set builders, Dan Rogers, is fascinated with aviation history, and he and I got together, and he wanted to build Fifinella, which is over the door of the theater now, and the sign for Avenger Field, and he wanted to build me 2 World War II cockpits. And I'm like, have at it. He and I both got access to the National WASP Museum in Sweetwater, Texas, and they let us into their archives to do research for this show.
Wow. And then dealing, no offense, girls, a very young cast talking about a very old subject. How did those two things come together?
One of the things I told them was to go watch some movies from the 1940s and watch how women conducted themselves, held themselves, spoke. For one of the characters, Virginia, the way she speaks is very classically 1940s woman. Not a lot of contractions, very controlled, very reserved in many ways. That's important to understand because the way today's women are is not the same as the way women in the 1940s were.
We are so much more relaxed.
Yes, even these women doing this amazing thing, which women didn't do then. There were standards, there were social expectations. And so I gave them those resources and let them watch what the real women were like and what other women in that time period were like. And that helps.
So Ella, what has been your favorite thing so far? As you're going through rehearsals, getting ready for opening night, what's been your favorite thing about this character in particular?
It's definitely been so cool to get to play real women and real historical figures. It's been very empowering, I think, especially also to get to work with an all-female cast, which is actually not something I've ever gotten to do before. So that's been really cool to take this project on together. I think it's brought us really close as a group. So that's definitely been one of my favorite parts of the process, is just getting to get really close through the process of trying to accurately portray such important parts of our country's history. And there's a certain amount of pressure that comes with it, I think, because of the fact that it's Women's History Month right now, and obviously all the things that are going on in our country right now, like I think it's so important to be telling these stories. And so there is a certain amount of pressure that comes with it, but I think it's also been so wonderful to have such a close group going into it because we all get to take on that challenge together. And so I think that ensembleship piece of it has probably been my favorite part so far.
How about you, Lyla? Has there been one thing that has stood out to you so far?
The main thing that caught my eye was the all-female cast coming into this. So, like Ella, I was super excited to be a part of this, and when Theresa called me, I was like, oh yes, I didn't even finish or let her finish what she had to say. I was like, oh, I'd love to do this. Coming into rehearsal every day and seeing everyone, it's my favorite part of the day, and getting to work so closely with them. And honestly, it's been a challenge too for me because I've played fictional characters most of the time throughout acting, but this is someone real, and it's someone who really experienced these things and these horrible things, but also amazing things. And to portray that, it feels like an honor to bring her story to life, and maybe someone in the audience can relate to it at some maybe different parts of it, or all of it, or none of it, but at least I get to share it with them, and that's very special to me.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to meet Shelby, who is playing Mildred Simmons, and we're going to meet Ash, who is playing Eddie Harknell. Theresa, I want to talk too a little bit about how interesting it is that you've got this group of actors that are coming together much in the same way these female pilots didn't know each other at all in the beginning, and now are this tight-knit group. So can we talk a little bit about that in the next segment?
Absolutely.
We are again recording at Winchester Little Theater. The play Decision Height opens on March 13th, runs through the 28th. I will say that I already have my tickets, and it is because we're doing a United Way fundraiser, so I even get to see it before anybody else does, which is always a perk. We're going to come back and talk more of the cast in just a couple of minutes.
United Way of the Northern Shenandoah Valley is inviting nonprofits to help map the region's nonprofit safety net. If your organization serves Winchester City, Frederick, Clark, Warren, Shenandoah, or Page counties, we encourage you to take our regional nonprofit survey. The information collected will help identify gaps, support collaboration, and inform community leaders and funders. The survey takes about 30 minutes and is available at unitedwaynsv.org.
Welcome back to the Valley. Today, I am your host, Janet Michael. It is Tourism Tuesday. We're sitting at Winchester Little Theater because they have another production coming up. March 13th, Decision Height opens. So we're talking to the director, Theresa Apple, along with some of the cast. Again, you can get your tickets only at winchesterlittletheater.org. Please don't buy them anywhere else. Get them from a link on their Facebook page or directly from their website. Tim told us a little bit about why that is the case at the beginning, and I may have him reiterate that again before we're done. But Theresa, I want to come back to you as the director. You have had to pull this cast together. You have to sell them on your vision and explain to them how you want all of this to go. And for a group of women who probably, with the exception of a few that we talked to a minute ago, didn't know each other to begin with, it's very much like these female pilots that show up and now have to be a family, more or less.
Absolutely. Well, we started out on audition day one by getting someone with a military background to come in and play drill sergeant. He got all of those who were auditioning to stand up and do calisthenics, and he yelled at them and made them stand at attention, and we got them all in the right mood.
Wow, note to self. Not so sure I wanted to be in something that Theresa is directing because she's hardcore.
It was a lot of fun. And you'll see during the show they're actually marching and they're doing calisthenics and they're singing and they're standing at attention and they're saluting and they're making military turns. And that all helps bring everybody together. And this cast themselves was quite instrumental in doing things to help each other bond, which they came up with it, not me. And I think that's wonderful.
Shelby Brown is joining us now. She's playing Mildred Simmons. Tell me a little bit about your audition process. Did you come into this with an idea in your head of who you wanted to play, or you just wanted to be in it?
I definitely had characters that were on a short list of who I wanted to play, but I did come in just wanting to do this because I knew this was a show that I really wanted to do. It was the only one this season that worked for me, and that this was an important time for me to do a show at this moment. And so I just came in with that idea in mind, and I really wanted to do this. This is important to me. I'm from a military family myself, so this was huge to me, and I loved this kind of thing, and I'm a huge history buff, so I knew a lot of this stuff.
Awesome.
I've got a book in my bag right now on the Spitfires, which were the British version of the WASPs, and they came just before, and Jackie Cochran, like with the WASPs, got them started over there. She pushed for the women to be involved in the war, and then she got the Americans to agree after they saw the British go, oh, this works. So then they started up with the WASPs. So I knew a bunch coming in, and I really wanted to do this. This was something on my bucket list.
So we were joking before we started recording about you being in character.
Oh,
and
yes.
There's a bit of an accent that you have to use. Was that intimidating at all?
Weirdly, no. It's something that's weirdly become part of my, canon. I've done accents galore. I've done German, French, Irish. So when I came in and they were like, this girl has a funny voice, my brain went to a character in Singing in the Rain and then another one in Guys and Dolls, both with kind of higher pitched, weird tones in their voice. I took that and I was like, you know what, I'll have fun with it. And that was what Theresa said got me the role. She was like, I just loved your voice on the audition. So you're now Mildred. So doing a voice was nothing new for me.
So Ash James is joining us. You, Ash, are playing Eddie Harknell, but I want to make sure people understand Eddie is the nickname because it is an all-female cast.
Yes. So her real name is Edith, but she really, really hates that. She makes sure everybody knows you do not call her Edith. She goes by Eddie. And as soon as I read this play, I was like, that one's mine. That is my character. I am going to get that role.
Did you dress for that when you came in to audition?
I did. Actually, I'm wearing a pair of pants right now that I bought specifically to audition for the show. They're military BDU type pants. But Eddie is very much a tomboy. She does not fit in with any of the other girls. She grew up with all men. She says she's never had female friends before. And she's very rough and tumble. That's very much who I am. I am very tomboy. I grew up with all brothers. I played sports, got dirty, all of that. So when I saw that, I was like, there's not very many opportunities for women to play females that are not feminine. I just felt like this is a rare opportunity for me to show that kind of a woman, that women can be more than just what you see on the front of a Playboy magazine, that there is a huge breadth of female experience.
And have been forever.
Ever.
Does it make it easier, too, for you to connect with that character because you see part of yourself in them?
Absolutely, yeah. I do a lot of things different than Eddie. I have a lot of mannerisms and personality traits and things like that that are different from me, just because I wanted to set her apart from the other girls. And she comes in to the play very physically removed from the rest of them. Like, you'll notice the other girls will clump together and she's always off to the side. And it takes her a while to figure out how to integrate into this group. But yes, there's a lot of similarities between us, and I draw on a lot on my personal experience to bring her out.
Shelby, do you find yourself slipping in and out of character?
Yeah, every now and then, because I need to continue to keep up the voice, I will do things at home, and because I got some of the aspects of the voice from Adelaide from Guys and Dolls, I'll play her music from the show on Spotify and just walk around singing in the accent from those songs, and that'll keep me going. On stage, not really. I'm fairly good about sticking into a character. If I mess something up, that is where things will fall apart. We had an instance of that the other day. You say the wrong name and the whole group just crumbles into laughter.
That's why you have rehearsals, to get all of that out of the way ahead of time.
Yeah, you got to get things out of the way early on.
And I love that you do that, because Tim here laughed at me when we did the show for A Christmas Carol, because I asked Scrooge if he ever found himself going through the drive-thru at McDonald's and ordering a Big Mac as Scrooge in character. He thought I had lost my mind, but I'm glad to know that wasn't as crazy of a question.
No, it's not that crazy. I feel like I have to work on my character and I have to build her up, because if I don't build her up and create a whole story for her, then she falls flat on stage. She can't be a one-dimensional person. Everybody has layers to them. She can't just be what you see in the script.
They don't even remember you afterwards.
They don't care.
What's been your favorite part so far?
This is truly a great cast, and it was important to me that this was a great cast, and I loved getting to know some of these girls. Some of them I knew about half, I want to say, coming into this, and that was good because I had people that I knew and I could talk to and I was comfortable with, like somebody who's not here, Rebecca. She and I did a show previously where we were attached at the hip as well there, so this was very comfortable for us. I've done shows with Lyla before, but it was nice to get to know people like Ash, because we had never actually met truly. We've heard each other in passing, but never met formally. So it was really good for us to get to know each other and build on that, because we've now created a decent friendship, I think. And it shows on stage in our characters. We've created a friendship between them as well, which wasn't necessarily written in, but we built it a bit more because we felt like it was something we liked about our characters.
Ash, every actor I've ever talked to talks about when they play a role, a part of that role stays with them long after they're done on stage or even in a movie or something along those lines. What do you think that you're going to take with you from playing this role?
I'm going to try to say this without getting choked up. This role was super important to me because there are so many female service members in my life already who have served in the past, and I've heard their stories and how they were so discriminated against as women in the service, and they felt like their service didn't matter and like they were less than. And I don't know a single woman who's not had that moment in their life where they felt like their contributions didn't matter as much. And like Eddie, I have not had a lot of female friends in my life. My friends tend to be mostly guys. And so it was very important to me that we become a family as a cast, because like you mentioned with Theresa in the beginning, that these women didn't know each other and suddenly had to become a family. That was going to show if we weren't like that on stage. And so we have gone out of our way to create days and times where we just spend time together and hang out outside of rehearsal. And I think it's not just Eddie that's going to come with me, but a little bit of each of them is now a part of my heart. And I'm going to always love these girls. They're always going to be my family now.
And Theresa, that's the best you can hope for. I mean, as a director listening to her.
It absolutely is. When you see it, I think you will see that change from these women showing up on stage and just being in awe of the place and introducing themselves to the relationship they have by the time the play ends. Lots of highs, lots of lows, and surprisingly, a lot of music in this show as well. But that arc is there. All of them have different relationships with each other, but the relationships they have at the start of the show is not the relationships they have at the end of the show. Even the ensemble, and I added 6 characters into it that are part of some of the scenes, but that also move sets and things like that. And there are relationships that you see in certain scenes with those people as well.
So before I bounce back over to Tim and get details about how people can get tickets and maybe talk a little bit about the Illusionist event that you have coming up, what do you hope as everything comes to an end, the final night, and people are leaving? What do you hope they're feeling or thinking as they finish seeing this production?
Well, I want them to want to go learn about the WASPs and to go out there and look at their history. I want them to understand it took them 40 years to get credit for their service, to be recognized as military service. And that was with Jimmy Carter. It took them till Barack Obama before they got full military benefits and the Congressional Medal of Honor, which is at the Adverhazy Center. That's a long time for them to be recognized. I want them to not be blown away by the set and all those things, but to just look at the production as a whole and say, wow, what a wonderful, heartwarming, integrated story, and just walk away with the entire experience being something that they say, I'd see that again.
And then, Tim, selfishly, I'm guessing you're hoping that as they're walking out of the theater, they're pulling out their phones and buying tickets for the next production of Calendar Girls.
I did want to plug a special talkback session that's going to happen on Sunday, March 15th after Decision Height. We are going to have award-winning author P. O'Connell Pearson. And Patricia Pearson is the author of Fly Girls, the Daring American Women Pilots Who Helped Win WWII. She'll be here with copies of her book and to sign autographs. So that's a special talkback event that we're going to have on that Sunday matinee, March 15th at Decision Height.
And that ties into everything that you do here at Winchester Little Theater. You always make sure that you are as authentic as you possibly can. And it seems like with no matter what the production, there's an educational component to it. You want your audience to leave having learned something they didn't know before.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to see a production here that's going to have an amazing cast, amazing design elements. They're doing some really cool stuff with the sound with this show. I don't want to give it away. But I
met the sound guy a few minutes ago. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, you're walking into Avenger Field as you come into the theater. So Theresa and her cast and her designers have really done an amazing job of just transforming the theater into Avenger Field. But yeah, there's a ton of history that's involved in this show as well.
And then you've got an illusionist coming on April 3rd. Give me some details about that and how I can get tickets.
Absolutely. So we are bringing in illusionist Ryan Schaefer to our stage for one night of magic for all ages. Ryan's performed extensively in Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, California, and soon the Dominican Republic. So this is going to be a family-friendly event. We are aware that it's going to be Easter weekend, but if you're looking for something to do with your family who's visiting on Easter weekend, this is the perfect event. There's plenty of tickets available, and you can purchase tickets online, again, at winchesterlittletheater.org. Also, you can call to get tickets for this show right now at our box office, and that is at 540-662-3331 if you want to talk to a live person. We do have a box office attendant here that's also going to be here on Mondays and Wednesdays from 4 o'clock to 6 p.m. if you just want to come in and buy them in person, too.
I don't know if the audio actually picked it up, but somebody was calling earlier to buy tickets while we were recording.
And the Illusionist is a special thing because it's a 50-50 door split, so 50% of the proceeds will help fund technical elements here at the theater.
Which is phenomenal. And then before we go, Calendar Girls will be the next production. When does it open? When does it close? And are auditions open for that?
Yes, so we're going to have auditions for Calendar Girls, and that's going to be on Sunday and Monday, March 22nd and 23rd at 7 p.m. at Winchester Little Theater. And you can find out more information on our social media outlets on Facebook and Instagram. And then that's our final show of the regular main stage. That's going to open up on May 15th to May 30th. Then we're also going to have our WLT for Kids program. So WLT Kids 2026 auditions are April 19th and April 20th. This is ages 12 to 18. The performances this year are going to be the Three Musketeers, which I've been informed is going to be 3 female Musketeers.
It's another, yes.
And that's going to be June 20th to June 27th. And then James and the Giant Peach Jr., which will be July 18th to July 25th.
We're going to come do another show and talk to some of these kids.
Absolutely.
I think that's going to be fantastic. So WinchesterLittleTheater.org, best first place to go. Mm-hmm. And then to follow along on social media, because you guys also do a really good job of showing when you're at a rehearsal and what's going on behind the scenes and get people connected to it before they ever walk in the door to see the production.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to see what's going on behind the stage, or you want to get a peek at the design elements or actor interviews, I think we're going to do a backstage takeover for this one, so that'll be on soon. All of that is on social media. We've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube. I'm trying to figure out TikTok. We're getting there.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep a lookout on TikTok.
It exists.
Ladies, thank you all for taking some time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of The Valley Today, just a few minutes after noon, so meet me here then.